you mentioned reboots before, and you said something I really didn't think about. Um, Reboots are nothing new because I used to be one of those people who's like, why are they rebooting everything? Can't you
Yeah.
think of something? In fact, when I went to see the Marvels, I saw the reboot of The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. It's like, oh, that looks interesting. But
Yeah.
you said reboots actually has been going on for years on Broadway as
Oh, yeah.
revivals. And it's like, you're right. When people do a revival on Broadway, people say, oh, I'm not singing that. They'll be excited to see a revival. But when it comes to like consumer seeing movies or TV shows, like, oh, like, why are we doing this? But it's been a thing that's been successful for Broadway for years.
I'm so glad that you brought up. So there's this study that was done. It was basically an economic history of this. And I loved it because it kind of gives an indication as to why reboots are safer from an economic perspective. And so for a Broadway show, typically what they'll do is they'll capitalize the show and they'll invest money in the show. And there will be a break-even point somewhere between 80 performances and 100 performances, let's say, where that show has made back its budget and then a little bit more, and then the investors get paid. And then if you start having diminishing returns, it'll potentially shut down. And that's the nature of the industry, and that's the nature of how it works. The New York market and the national market can only sustain shows sometimes for like 2 or 3 years. And like if you get an international audience, then obviously that can get a very extended run. But essentially the study found that the probability that a new original work that has never been seen on the stage before in New York, the probability that hits 100 performances is substantially lower than the probability that a reboot or a revival reaches 100 performances. However, a original piece of work is far more likely to be one of those like huge mega successes that runs for years than a revival is. And the mentality is that like, revivals are a safe way to ensure that you can fill a theater with fans of a play or a show for, a couple of years and make your money back in a reliable way. But then you also need to have these new original works come out. Otherwise, you're not going to get that mega hit, that Phantom, that Wicked, that Lion King, any of these ways that we've been able to kind of get long running shows on Broadway. It kind of, the nice thing about that is that the producers, the theatrical producers, do tend to have a slate, right? They'll have, this year we're going to come out with 3 revivals, we're going to come out with 3 original things, we're going to come out with 3 plays, because they want to kind of put their chips on the roulette table in a fashion that they know that they're going to make back their money with the revivals, or can at least kind of surmise that they'll get close. They know that maybe they're not all going to work, but maybe one of the original productions is going to be a big hit, even if some of the others fail. And so they're able to kind of have a diversified portfolio of plays. And Hollywood used to be the same way. And my fear has increasingly been that the risk aversion is causing them to just stop developing these original ideas and just only rely on these revivals and reboots so that they can get a more guaranteed return, even if they're missing out on the opportunity that a film like Oppenheimer or even a film like Barbie kind of presents. Like, like the 3 highest grossing films of the year are all, they're based on pre-existing ideas, but they're all the first movie in their genre, or in the first movie in their franchise, as it were. So I would be very surprised if they make an interlocking fan franchise from the Oppenheimer film, but nevertheless,
I'm
you
sure
see what I mean.
Happen.
Yeah.
All things